Shut up and sit down.
You're wasting your time on them. The good stuff's right here. Some of that good stuff. Give me something that'll feel kind of special. Give me something that'll do it. Put my mind to it.
And now, the guys you came to hear: Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Tom Hanks and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oops, my bad. I mean Natalie Grant, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Doing. Sorry to disappoint you. Thanks for listening to the Dialed Podcast though. I hope you still enjoy the show.
Yeah, man, that's the good stuff.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I am Jake Von Doing, and today I'm here with Evan Price.
How's it going?
Good. Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing today?
I think they're doing good, and I think I stepped on your toes there a little bit, Matt. I'm sorry. You're going to say something to Evan over there?
Oh, I was just going to, he said he was good.
I like to keep it just super short there.
I'm
just
good.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom. Bam.
All right.
Get into it.
He's good. Yeah. And I can say that he is good. Yes.
But Lance and Matt always have much more interesting, so I just like to let the talent speak. You know?
Let the talent speak. Who is on Skype?
And there's this noise in the background. What is that? Yeah. Oh, that's Lance. Lance Romance on location.
Lance Romance on location. I am in Idaho calling in on Skype. So that's why I'm going to sound funny and maybe even a little broken up here and there, but I will try to keep it cool.
Yes, we got to keep the team together.
They have internet in Idaho?
Yeah.
There is some areas of Idaho with internet, so okay. I am in one of them.
You get a lot of hate mail for that.
Yeah. How many listeners do we have from Idaho?
Probably.
There's a lot of riders.
There's a
lot of cyclists in Idaho, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Lance being in Idaho, I sense a sweet backpedal coming in. So we're going to save that one.
He's not in Idaho just to be in Idaho.
Evan, we can just be like, I yield my time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I have like 3 sentences, and one of them is boring. So,
well, on that note, Evan, start us off with the backpedal.
All right. Today I went on a ride. I flatted, and then I went back and ran, and then I came here.
Yes.
You did.
You struggled today.
Matt was also on that ride.
Yeah, Evan, we never ride together, and we rode yesterday, and then we rode very briefly on Saturday. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Saturday was fun. That could be part of our backpedal.
There you go.
So what is this ride? I know Dustin in the area set up this ride. That's it's supposed to simulate the Sauvie Island shootout, basically, but for Vancouver rights.
Or for other people that aren't from the area, there's like a Tucson shootout, Arizona shootout, which is kind of world famous, but it's a drop ride.
Yeah.
Basically at race pace.
A full drop ride.
Hang on as long as you can.
And originally it was going to be called the Vancouver Hustle.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah.
But I also like...
But the other name that I heard I like a lot.
Yeah, the Vantucky Derby.
The Vantucky Derby.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I like that.
I kind of like that too. Well, and also there's horses on the route.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like,
very fitting. It's very fitting.
It is good.
My only gripe with that is that it's in the city of Camas. I mean, you
is.
start and finish in Vancouver, you ride about a total of 3 or 4 miles there, but hey, it's all good.
True.
It may be even less than 3 or 4 miles. You're basically the rollout is in Vancouver.
That's true. Well, so
did Evan, you and Matt both do the hustle then, or just Evan?
Mostly Evan. So as part of my backpedal, I'll just take over. No, I swam that morning, and then I was like, I'll just go find those guys, right? And then I didn't really find them, and then they I think it was like lap 3 or
lap
something
3
like
or
that.
4, yeah.
They rolled up on me and I was like, okay, cool. I'll ride with these guys for as long as I can. I knew they were racing, so I knew that it wasn't going to last long.
I said hi to Matt as quick as I could,
yeah,
and then had to catch back on.
Super fun, and I just grabbed a wheel and hung as long as I could, and I basically got dropped on like a descent with a sharp turn. And then I was like, well, that was fun.
So Lance, just so you know, if we go back and forth on this ride, we beat you by about 3 or 4 minutes on the whole.
I saw that.
Now,
was fast,
let me put it this way. I made the only move I have in my entire quiver of arrows.
Your arsenal.
2K out. I'm like, all right, this is my only chance. Gotta go now. So I go for it on that false flat section, Lance, before the chicades, the right-left chicades.
Right.
So I hit the right-left chicades, keep on looking over my shoulder, and everybody at this table knows Mike Myers and Dustin, and they're working together, and I know it's inevitable that they're going to drag me in at some point, and they hold off till about the last second and catch me right before, that steep incline, Lance, before the finish.
Right
There's
before
this,
the finish.
what would you say, Lance, 200-300 yard, 8 to 10% little climb to finish?
Yeah, it's a perfect
Maybe
little
8%.
uphill finish.
Yeah.
Is that the finish? Is that little incline?
Right
back-
before the school bus stop.
Right
Okay,
before the
yeah.
airport.
Right
Yeah.
before the airport, yeah.
Right before the airport. It's just
Oh,
a
okay.
power enough climb that a guy like me is just terrible at it. And
Okay.
they
It's
blew
short,
by me
yeah.
going into that and put about 10 seconds into me on a 20-second climb. So that's
Who was the first to cross?
Dustin.
Dustin,
Dustin got Mike. Mike, they're both in great shape
Well,
right now.
Dustin's got a huge sprint. Though.
Oh,
That
gosh,
guy's
yeah.
strong as an ox.
That was why I knew I had to go at 2K. There was no way I'm gonna, when you're looking at a guy like
sprint
Dustin
with
next
those
to you, you're
guys.
like, yeah, that's not gonna happen, and I got to get away from him.
That's
But
cool.
yeah,
That's
that was
fun, though.
that was our back pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super fun. And then we rode today,
Yep.
and you just came away without a tire.
I know,
Without
yeah.
a wheel. Whatever.
It's a lot harder to ride without air in your wheel.
Yeah.
It was slowly leaking out the whole ride.
But we had a cool group because
Very
it was
fun group.
I need to go back and title the Strava ride with some sort. I'm no Lance. I'm not going to have some unbelievable title to my
Yeah.
Strava.
We got to compete with these
But
titles.
I was just thinking, I was like, oh, this is like the
the
TT
Tri-Geeks.
biker gang,
Yeah,
right?
it
Because
is.
it was like, and I haven't posted a picture too, but I took a picture of you guys while you guys were
Oh,
pulling
nice.
me along.
Nice.
It was a nice little group today. We had 4 TT bikes out on the city of Vantucky.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, how about you, Matt? Why don't you backpedal for us?
So I mentioned this to Evan on our ride, but I did an 8-mile run without
Yes.
major calf explosions. So
Oh, good.
That's really
I
good
don't know.
news.
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't-
very good
I don't know
news.
if I've complained about this on the podcast or not, but I guess those in the know, they my calves have been bugging me, so I haven't really been racing, and so I've just been really nothing, just skipping the run and doing swimming and stuff like that. And cross country season started, which I coach cross country for those of you guys that don't know, which is a whole bunch of high school runners. And I've been kind of running a little bit each day, not a lot, but things have felt good. And then Sunday I was like, all right, well, let's just go see. I was thinking I would do maybe 5 or 6 miles. I did 8 and it was good. So slow, but that's okay.
The climb to Ironman for
Well,
Matt.
yeah,
the
there's
slow
that.
climb back to Ironman
Slow-
fitness.
Yeah, there's that, and then also it's just nice to be back running. It's super enjoyable to be. We've all been there where you come back from an injury or whatever it is, and you're just so happy to be doing your thing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
Yep, it was great. It was glorious.
glorious, great stuff.
Glorious.
Can I do my laugh with that on? I have an annoying enough laugh. It would be even more annoying with this. Ready? Go. Ha ha.
All right.
Should we go to the only back pedal that matters now, Lance?
Lance,
Jake, we
backpedal for us,
We
buddy.
could hear from Jake.
Oh,
Well,
should we? do
no,
we
I'm
wanna
gonna
hear from
let
Jake? Do you
Lance
wanna
go
hear from
first
me?
because he's gonna take up much more time, and I'll film that last little tiny little sliver of whatever's left. Go ahead,
I
Lance.
tell you, I am here in Ketchum, Idaho. I'm at I did this gravel stage race this weekend called Rebecca's Private Idaho. There were 3 stages. It's kind of a cool event where there's a big main event on Sunday that had about 1,000 people in it, and about 600 did a 93-mile race, and about 400 did a 50-mile race. And so big, huge event. But they also did this stage race that you could compete in. There were about 125 people in the stage race. So first day was 43 miles, all gravel, except the first 15 miles were on single track, mountain bike single track. So it was way too much for gravel bikes, but what the heck, you just did it anyway. And so I lined up. I had no idea where I was going to be. We took off. My fitness is pretty good. I have pretty decent mountain biking skills. And that gravel bike, man, I just loved it. I just had a blast on the single track. There was big climbing. after the first 15 miles, we hit this gravel section, and I hooked up with these 2 other guys, and there was a big 12-mile out and 15-mile back section, so you could kind of see where you're at in the field. But right before we hit that single track area, we had a river we had to cross.
That's so cool.
This is true gravel biking right here.
Yes, it's true gravel racing. And so I come around the corner. I'm following these 2 guys. They both kind of go for it because the photographer was right on the riverbank.
They did it for the gram.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that what the kids say?
That's what I don't know.
Right.
If that's what the kids say, then I wouldn't know. But so uncool.
The first guy goes for it, and the second guy goes for it, and I got up a little more speed than both of them because I knew how long it was. Because of course I had tried it 2 days previous and failed miserably, and I knew I had to be going faster, and so both of them kind of stop, and I just full on ran right into the one guy, Supermaned over his bike, and fully immersed into the water.
That is awesome.
It just fully just
splashed.
Was
it like rock bed, or are we talking softer?
Yeah, big
Just
river rock bed, round river rock bed.
Was the photographer like, "This is gold. Keep up the craziness."
It's 40 degrees. The water's 42 degrees. I come up laughing. I am just laughing because it was so ridiculous. I stand up. My bike is on its side, floating down the river.
That was the second question. Where's the bike?
That's right. I had to grab it, and I'm laughing, and I just grabbed it and jumped back on it. So,
does that count as almost a triathlon then? Because you basically had to swim. Okay,
that's true. He's a true triathlete.
So he had a 10-yard swim, a 93-mile bike, and a 20-yard run probably at the end.
Right. Right. It was just too funny. So I jump out of the water, and these 2 guys are heading down the trail, and I got right on their tail. So the 3 of us just worked this whole 15-mile out section and 15-mile back. And on the way out, I was able to count where I was in the field. Ooh. And before the turnaround, I realized we're in 9th, 10th, and 11th overall.
Wow.
So I was blown away.
There's some big names there too.
Yes, there's 125 people there. I had, I was shocked that we were that far up, but I stayed with those guys. On the way back up, we lost one of them, and I hung with the other guy. We finished, so I ended up finishing that first stage in 10th place overall, which was kind of a big shock. So I go up to the guy who I've been, pace lining with for the last 25 miles. I'm go, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Oh, my name's Yuri." And I'm like, "Wait, you're Yuri Housefold?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "What?" So if you don't know who Yuri Housefold is, he won the Dirty Kansas 200 in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's a serious race.
Crazy.
He's this serious racer, serious guy. He's kind of on the tail end of his career, but still very involved in the biking
industry. How old
industry.
is he, Lance?
He's the same age as me. He's 48.
Oh, so he's just old. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So
decrepitly old.
Decrepitly old, yes.
Was most of the ride done in a wheelchair? Or?
Yeah, that's right. So he just got a late start into cycling, but super strong. And I'm like, what? I just rode 25 miles with Yuri Housefold? You got to be kidding me. And then the other guy turned out to be Dave Hargrove, I think was his name. And he started the high school mountain bike league that now has 3,700 members in 5 different states.
NICA?
Yeah, right.
Or Nika, or Nika.
I just read an article about that. That's growing. It's awesome. Yeah.
Lance, you're strong right now, man.
This is what you get for riding 400 miles a week. Yep. You have to come back here, and we have to try to break him down. We got to do team tactics to break Lance down on every group ride.
I was really pumped. So that first day was a whole lot of fun. The second stage, it was 50 miles, but there was a 20-mile neutral rollout where we all just kind of chatted and talked. And then it was a 4.5-mile uphill gravel time trial. And so
oh boy.
The way Rebecca tried to organize it was that there would be, a stage for the mountain bikers, which was the single track thing, a stage for the road bikers, which is the time trial, and then a stage for the gravel people, which was the big, huge one. So the second stage, uphill climbing, not my thing. Time trialing, not my thing. But, you know, I was super motivated because I was in 10th place, and I actually got a call up for the time trial because they
Cool.
let the top 10 women and top 10 men go first, and then everybody else lined up to go. So it was kind of cool. I got I was feeling all pro.
Prestige.
There
So
you go. Yeah.
Prestige worldwide.
How'd you like walk up? Is there like a way that you walk up after
Strut?
getting it? Yeah.
Just
Did you strut? How hard were you strutting?
no, because I was the very
the,
last.
the very
called
last.
up. So I'm like, yes, I'm the idiot with the stupid beard on my face. And
Oh, that's important for us to touch base on.
Yes,
So,
this is actually more important.
I think I saw a picture and you had like handlebar mustache.
How long did those stay for?
That was awesome.
that it only stayed on for about an hour. Just enough to take the picture because I knew my wife might divorce me if she saw me with it. So.
She couldn't have agreed just to let you race with it just for one weekend because that would have been.
He would have won that race.
Oh
I think.
yeah,
It would match
that was
your
your
legs.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
it was too funny.
So we need to post a picture of that maybe for our
Oh yes, that absolutely needs to be posted.
and it is by far the most glorious thing I've seen.
I'm surprised you
long
didn't
time.
want to keep that, Lance, because
It was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty.
I've done the 15-second handlebar mustache before, and I needed it to leave my face quickly. But yours actually looked very good.
It was pretty cool.
Well, I wanted to keep it, but I chickened out.
You got outvoted.
Oh,
So
anyway.
so how'd the 4.5 mile uphill go?
You know, I just went for it. You know, I just
Yeah.
put out as much as I could, and I ended up 18th
Wow.
overall.
Very good.
Yeah. So it was respectable. It was a full 5 minutes slower than the winners.
That's okay.
But
I mean, but that's your weakest event of
Yeah.
you know, if we were to come up
Right.
with some that would be your like kryptonite, it'd be like a steady 4.5 miler.
right.
Or
Yeah.
the hill, probably.
Yeah.
The hills.
You with
So-
the hill. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. So anyway, I ended up I was 11th overall after those first two stages, and then we had a day off. There was a lot of partying here in Sun Valley, Idaho, Ketchum, Idaho, and a big parade, and it was all a whole lot of fun. Then the last stage, which was the 93-mile gravel stage, and it had about 55 or 6,000 feet of climbing or something like that. And the way it started out was there was like 10 miles of pavement and then a 4-mile uphill climb, pretty steep. And then you drop down in this valley and you rode these gravel roads for 70 miles. And then you came back and climbed back up the backside of this climb, which was about 10 miles of uphill gravel climbing, and then a big bomb downhill finish to the end. So that's kind of how the whole thing went. So of course I knew I was going to get dropped on the first climb. And so I just tried to hang up there as much as I could. And I have no idea what position I went over that first climb in. It was probably, and this is the one there were 600 people in. I was probably in about the top 100 that went over that first climb.
Yeah.
And then on the downhill, I caught Yuri again.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I hook up with Yuri. We're at mile 20. And me and Yuri, and there were two women pros in there. We basically pace lined and time trialed for the next 70 miles. So I rode way faster than I anticipated because I was able to, hook up with Yuri and this other mountain bike pro from Bend, Oregon. Her name is Sarah Max. And so the three of us were just working for all these sections. We would catch people and they would hang on for a while, and then we would lose them, and then we would catch somebody else and they would try to hang on. And so it was just, for a while the group would be 8 or 10 people, and then it would be 3, and then it would be 8 or 10 people. But man, I felt good all day. That 70-mile section on gravel with climbing, I think we averaged like 22 miles an hour.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
crazy.
So yeah, we were pushing like
On like old Tour de France roads. We're talking like
Yes.
gravel roads.
correct
Wow.
cattle guards and big rocks and just just kind of cruising through all that.
God, we are in trouble when he comes back.
Yeah.
We're in a lot of trouble.
So it was, I was super happy. I knew that on that last climb, I would probably lose them, and I probably talked myself out of it. But of course, as soon as we got to that last climb, I kind of lost both Yuri and Sarah, and they kind of pulled away from me. But I ended up 18th in the stage racers and like 57th overall out of all the racers. So
That's impressive.
I did that 93 miles and did it in like just over 5 hours.
Wow.
And with all that climbing, man, it was just, I had a ton of fun. I should be careful about how much time I take because there was so many cool things that happened, and there were.
We're gonna rehash this again in the future though, because I just want to hear more. I mean, like it sounds like such an awesome, like these gravel grinding races just sound like so much fun, especially the stage style of these.
Yeah.
That is an awesome weekend.
It's a unique event. I think it's just going to explode. Gravel riding and gravel racing is kind of exploding right now anyway, but this stage race type style thing, it was so much fun. If you're interested in gravel riding at all, this is an event that you should do. It was just too cool and too fun to be there. So I was really stoked for it. And I know we kind of had an over-under on where I would place.
Yeah.
Do you remember last week what did you guys guess?
I was right. I was right for the record. Let the record show. Let the record show.
I said top 20, I think, is what
so
I said.
Jake was right too.
Yeah.
I said 25th.
You said 25th, so
Yeah, Matt was wrong. That's what it comes down to, is that Matt was wrong.
When you get back here, I'm going to have a nice iced Coca-Cola waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up 15th overall out of all the
Lance,
stage
that's so
racers.
impressive, man.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
So-
That is awesome.
That's some serious. I'll tell you what, like anybody who's going to sit there and say like, oh, you're overtrained at this certain amount of miles. It's like, hey, Lance's body was able to deal with it, and
Yeah.
400-mile weeks and boom, 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 and all of a sudden racing awesome. That's great,
Yeah,
Lance.
it just worked.
Yeah,
It was a
and-
ton of fun.
And
so.
again, just to reiterate, let's talk about where you were at 1
Yeah,
year ago
this time-
and what you've
this
gone
time
through
last
since
year,
then to
yeah.
now. I mean, this day a year ago, you were laid out in bed with your disc herniation and it's just all kinds of stuff that just started going south for you, right? I mean,
Yeah, couldn't stand up, couldn't walk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this time next year, we're going to be talking about, do you remember when Jake was sitting at that table with his arm in the sling and like couldn't sleep more than a couple hours a night, and now he's like kicking all of our butts in 1-2 races? Yeah.
One can only hope.
We're marking it down this time next year.
So go ahead, Lance. I have one little thing I want to say, but go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Well, no, you go ahead, Jake, because I wanted to mention some of the cool people that I had met, and I
I
can.
think
talk
we're on
about
the
that.
same page. So I was going to say,
Yeah.
let's tease a little bit of what you were able to
Just a tease.
take care of or land while you're out there. And we're going to get into this in our next podcast. We're going to have this for everybody. But tell us a little bit about what I'm talking about here, Lance.
Well, the person who put this race on is Rebecca Rush. She is a legend in the mountain biking community. If you know mountain biking at all, or she was a pro mountain biker for a number of years. She's a world champion. I was able to squirrel her away for an interview. So I just messaged her on Instagram, and she responded and hooked me up with her PR person. And so I was actually able to interview her for the podcast.
You're like, what?
They probably took a look at your. They probably looked at your Instagram feed and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do this.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Let's
Yeah.
do this."
Like,
So
there's
I
just some
I
charm
met-
about this guy. I don't know.
It was really cool, and it ended up that I also met Matt Lieto, who is a triathlon pro from the Bend area. He's
Yes,
kind
he
of
is.
a lot of people know him in the Oregon racing scene and the triathlon scene. He was a riot. I was able to interview him.
He's
and
a
I
super
actually interviewed-
cyclist too. Where did he place, Lance?
Yeah, actually, he placed second overall in the
Wow.
stage race.
That doesn't surprise me. He's got
Yes.
a super
I
bike.
think he likes.
Yes.
I think he's getting into the gravel grinding stuff.
So is
He
so.
is.
Have you
there's
raced? Have you raced him before at Pack
a,
Crest?
not at Pat Crest, but
Okay.
years ago.
Okay,
Yeah, he's
gotcha.
him and a guy named Jordan Rapp. So
Yep.
Jordan Rapp used to be a
Yep.
pro triathlete as well. Has really gotten into gravel grinding.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it's like
The
if you're a
thing.
triathlete, you love biking, but you like
Yeah.
kind of don't want to do the road racing scene. Gravel grinding seems to be the way to go. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was able to interview Matt. I actually interviewed him after the whole race, so we got to kind of recap it a little bit,
Cool.
and that was kind of fun. And then the other guy I met was Steve Perino, and Steve Perino was one of the NBC commentators for the Tour de France.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
So he was the guy that was on the motorcycle with the helmet and the camera on him, and he would interview people and follow the action on the motorcycle. So
He's really funny too. Yeah.
he's hilarious. So I actually had about 13-minute interview with him as well, and we got to talk about racing and the Tour de France and some of the cool things he saw in the Tour de France, and so there's like 3 really cool interviews that I was able to do, and I don't know
I'm
how
excited
we'll
to
throw
hear
that
these.
together. Yeah.
These are, I mean, like those are 3
Totally, yeah.
awesome interviews. Like if you're a tri nerd, a Tour de France nerd, or just a cycling nerd, those
Yeah.
are all 3 awesome interviews.
The other thing, I met Tim Johnson, who was a former cyclocross pro and still on pro teams. So he was very cool. And then Yuri Hausfold, this guy I was able to ride miles and miles with. So we kind of connected pretty good. And then also Chris Cosentino, who I believe he won or took second place on Top Chef. He's a celebrity chef.
That's awesome.
And a former 24-hour racer, mountain bike and road racer. So they were all there doing the event. So there are all these really cool people I met. So anyway,
All in the land of potatoes, Idaho.
yeah.
What a place.
It is.
Did
yeah.
you ever get to use the line? Don't you know who I am?
I'm sure you've heard of the
I
podcast that
have.
I'm on.
Lance Romances? What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Does your bike have like a flag, like American flag, and say Lance Romance on there, like a little sticker?
We need
No?
to remedy that.
Let's get on that,
yeah.
buddy.
We should.
I should.
We really should. That should
Anyway,
be. Lance,
so-
when is your birthday? We need to do that for his birthday.
That's right.
When do you get back into town, Lance?
I'm leaving early in the morning because I'm trying to make the cyclocross race that starts at 5 p.m. tomorrow night.
Trophy
So,
Cup, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first Trophy Cup race is tomorrow night. So I think
Excellent.
I'm going to try to get there. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but we'll see how it goes. So
Nice. Well, drive safe and
I will.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'll throw in my 30 seconds worth of stuff here. I got to go out to watch everybody race in the cyclocross season opener, the David Douglas cyclocross race.
Did you bring a camera?
Oh yeah.
I did bring a camera.
I saw
Nice.
some pictures. Yeah.
I think I came home with almost 700 photos on the card.
Wow.
And I had to I'd whittled that down to about 120 to post up for everybody to have.
That's so cool.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun getting out there and taking pictures of people. And let's see here, what else? Not much else went on. Just trying to pass away the days.
Which lens did you use?
a
The
big one.
200?
I did. I did bring my my 16 to 35, but I didn't ever
Mostly
use
yeah,
it.
that's what I figured.
I was
Yeah.
not running around with the 70 to 200 on there the whole time.
Yeah, that thing's big. Did you have like a monopod? Like a
No, I
tripod
just
or something?
no, I just have my my strap that I use to
Yeah.
kind of stabilize it because I can only use one arm.
Get
so-
one arm, one arm photographer.
Yeah, run around with my sling on, which that's always fun. But yeah, besides that, just got my Netflix certification. You know, just
Netflix certified.
yeah.
Nice.
Oh, I did for sake of this conversation that we just had with Lance and all this cool stuff they did with Rebecca Rush. I did watch her documentary on Amazon Prime called Blood Road, which is actually pretty cool. It kind
Yeah,
of tells
I
the
gotta watch
story.
that.
Yeah, it tells the story of her father, who was a fighter pilot back in Vietnam, and how he got shot down and lost his life, and she kind of basically went back and rode her bike on the Ho Chi Minh Trail to
I've seen something
to get to
about
the
that.
place where the
Yeah.
crash
I
was
need
at.
to-
So
I need to
Maybe
watch
there were some
that.
articles or something when it first came out. I think I read.
Yeah,
Something like that.
awesome.
I
So
didn't realize that's who
it was really neat. It really kind of lets you get to know her quite a bit better. So worth a watch for sure. Got 5 stars on Amazon Prime too.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is our Backpedal, which now means we're going to get into our roundtable. So let's get into our first topic, and we are going to run through this little thing of whether or not you should join a team, why you should join a team or a club, and how it's applicable to cyclists, triathletes, and runners, and all the good stuff that comes about it, or maybe why you shouldn't join a team too.
Yeah,
Likes to
I'm
play
trying to
devil's.
come. I'm trying to come up
Who's
with
going to
that.
be that guy? We
It's
all
gonna
know
be
it's going to
me.
be Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's going to play the devil's advocate
Who's going to
here.
be that
He's
guy?
gonna-
It's going to be Matt.
that guy's going to be Matt.
So the title that I have on our show notes here is why you should join a team, and I went back and I'm like, Matt's going to play devil's advocate, so I put it in parentheses or shouldn't.
Yeah.
So why you should or shouldn't join a team or club.
I'll
So-
be the forever optimist over here and counter anything that Matt says.
Perfect.
But so from the triathlon perspective, by its nature can be a very lonely sport.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comparatively to, and Lance knows this, Lance, you know this just as well as anybody too, it is by its nature much, much lonelier than cycling, running, or swim, especially cycling and
Yes.
swimming, much lonelier. You are, especially if you're not somebody who came from swimming, generally more intimidated in the pool with jumping in with tougher masters groups at first. So you kind of swim by yourself. Some people will. Cycling, if you don't come from a cycling background, you're kind of hesitant on the bike. I see too many triathletes try, isolating themselves on the bike and not riding with groups. And then running wise, people run at their own pace. So, if you're running an 8-minute pace and there's a group running 7 pace, it's, that can't work usually. So it's by nature a lonely sport, which is why you should get on a team or just go ride with cyclists, swim with swimmers and run with runners. Cause there is a lot of poor mental health issues I see with people who train purely by themselves. It gets to be a tough sport to do for that long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hours and hours by yourself. Not fun. It's-
There's a big motivation factor just with being a part of a group or being a part of a team. There's days when I know I'm going to go out and ride by myself, and I might sit on the couch in my kit with my shoes on for an hour, just like I need to go.
Yeah.
I need to go right now. Why am I not leaving? But if I'm gonna meet Jake at the corner at a certain time, I'm out and I'm there, and having teammates that kind of encourage you to do that, it just is so much more motivating. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta love accountability.
I can't agree with you more on the bike, Lance. I tell as many triathletes as I can, get out there and ride with cyclists. It makes you a better handler of the bike. It will make you more comfortable, and there are intervals that you can get in on a group ride that are just not possible by yourself.
Yeah.
You just are not able to push as hard as when you need to latch onto Lance's wheel or somebody's wheel. Yeah.
So I definitely think people listening to this should join a team if they're not. I think humans, I really feel like we're social creatures, and we're totally we don't think about that when we think about working out, and it's absolutely huge. And I actually think that more coaches should probably kind of take that aspect of it into the plan, where it's you talk to your athlete, right? And you're like, hey, okay, great. We want you to do, a long ride, and we want you to do, this workout and this other workout or whatever. It's but are you going to swim with some buddies on Thursday? Then that needs to be part of the plan, because that social aspect of it is so critical that I think it can make or break a particular person's entire season, right? It's when they go, 50 times by themselves and they're staring at a black line in the bottom of the pool, and it's just no, this is horrible, and you're just barely making it through these workouts. And that is not sustainable. But if you meet, Evan Price at the pool, well, he's Evan Price. You're going to make it there. You're going to swim.
And I'm probably going to be faster than him in the pool too, which will make me feel good about myself. So
it's great. I just think it's so important for not only each individual people that are maybe listening to this podcast to really consider joining a team, but also coaches. Anyone that's coaching other athletes should really kind of interview your athletes, ask them when they can do stuff with other people, because I think that that's this little secret part that's missing from kind of that coaching aspect.
And I think too many coaches, this is going to be in the cycling world too, cycling and triathlon world. I think too many coaches think there's some magic equation to doing intervals in a certain way.
Yeah.
There really is not. If you're talking, especially from a cycling point of view, if you're thinking about a race is fluid in its nature. It's not 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off every single race. So if you want to, if you are a coach and you're okay, today needs to be an interval threshold recovery sort of ride. So there needs to be threshold efforts and there needs to be recovery efforts. Go on a group ride.
Yeah.
I mean, that is every single group ride I've ever been on is, even when it's all right, guys, we're going easy today. Yeah, sure we are. Okay. Right. We hit that hill. There's going to be that guy. Sure. I'm usually that guy.
It's you. Yeah.
Who's going to go
Lance.
off the front?
It's Lance.
Or it's Lance. It's always Lance. But you're getting those intervals, and you're getting them in a competitive nature, and it builds this racing mindset.
Right.
I think the people who group train develop, especially if you're somebody who's looking to do well in races, you know, really wants to do well in these races, you need to develop that competitive mindset. And you get that in group training.
Yeah, I think it's good. Now, reason why you should not join
There are
a
reasons.
team is, you know, like, so I sometimes have, you know, there's a lot of teams that require certain amounts of like fees and things like that to be paid, which is fine. I just think that, you know, I would look strictly at like, does this group really match you? And the answer might be no, they don't. Like, this group might be significantly slower. There's some groups in the area, and I'm not going to name names, but like Evan does not fit these groups very well. I mean, he could join these groups and they would be a great support group, but you know, every time he rode with them, he would ride away from them. And every time he swam with them, he would swim away from them. Every time he ran, he would run away from them because he's just, you know, he doesn't fit with that particular club. It's not the Dialed Cycling Club. It's
Or the opposite for myself in the pool. I know that there are some groups that I would try and swim with that would be
destroy
I would
you.
be disadvantageous for them. Like, I would be slowing these groups up.
And,
So yeah,
and that would be a negative, right? Where so it's
Yeah.
like every time you go there and you get destroyed, and you're just gonna swim yourself into a rut.
Yeah.
So I think that there are reasons why you shouldn't join a team, Jake. And I'm stretching. I am stretching a little bit to try to find
but
them.
Dialed is not that team. Dialed is the team that everybody should join.
You shouldn't join the wrong team.
Yes,
So,
that's a good way to put it. You
here's-
should not join the wrong
Here's
team.
another thing that I definitely want to bring up. Like, if you're already a part of like 5 teams,
don't be that guy.
That's not cool, right?
I was
Where-
actually kind of that guy.
Yeah,
for a little
right.
bit,
So
but
I
don't
feel
be
the same
that
way.
guy.
where
Don't be
it's-
me.
So I have a whole bunch of friends at this Tireless Fellow team, which they're awesome. They're fantastic. And it's a cyclocross team, right? And if you've listened to this podcast, you know that I don't really do cyclocross, and I'm not going to, right? They're just but they're a really cool group of people.
That's like
and-
Jake joining a swimming team, Matt.
Yeah, it's like, we're not gonna. It's like so, and then I'm obviously I'm part of the Dial team. Like, Jake started the Dial team. I'm like, yeah, I want to be part of this team. This is amazing. But they have a triathlon aspect to it. They have road cycling, which I'm interested in, and you know, they just have a different vibe. And so I would say, don't be like me. Like, don't join 20 teams. Like, you know, if you're at that 20 marker, please don't join the 21st team.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's
it at just
probably
20. That's the threshold.
So that would be another reason not to join a team. So. You can tell I'm stretching for reasons not to join teams, but I did come up with a couple of good reasons.
Yeah. I really think it lends to consistency. I think Evan kind of alluded to that. I think that Lance alluded to that a little bit as well. A big thing is camaraderie. I mean, you find people, if you're a cyclist and you join a cycling team, you're going to find like-minded people. And when you find like-minded people that have a good disposition, the camaraderie that grows out of that, the friendships that grow out of that, they're for life. I mean, I've friends on the team that we're on now are going to be friends for life. I can't see any reason why I would ever not be friends with these guys for the rest of my life. I've got guys that I've ridden with in the past that, you know, geographically speaking, I'm not on the team anymore, but they're still going to be friends for life. And so when you get involved at that level and you start to spend hours upon hours going out and training with these people, you get to know them a little bit better, and the camaraderie that comes out of that is just, it's immeasurable.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty-
there are like conversations that I've had with people on a bicycle that
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think I could have off of a bicycle for some reason.
Yeah.
There's like something about being on a bicycle. You're just like able to figure out things better through conversation.
Yeah, my wife and I have talked about this a lot, where it's like you're on a team with a specific goal and you're all working really hard, and it's, you know, something about athletics that just brings people together.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
And you know, it's sometimes I'm like, this person that I would just never hang out with otherwise, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, nope, this is my best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is my best friend
And
right here.
there's also like we were talking about this. I don't enjoy races as much. I think most people, like, really during the race, it's a very painful experience.
Yeah.
I mean, almost always. It's basically always a painful experience. But I would never give up racing at that level, because after the races is like some of the coolest conversations you'll ever have.
yeah.
You just like race toe to toe. I mean, like Lance, you raced
Yeah.
toe to toe with that guy for 70 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there aren't many chances in life you get to like really push yourself with another human being for that long,
Right.
and then after the event get to talk to them and get to know them.
Yeah.
You know, that's not something you can just do in like a grocery store. It's- you can't just like do that at like the speed dating rounds. And I've been to plenty of speed dating drives.
We really
I'm
crushed
not. That's
those.
a
We really
lie. That's
crushed
a
those.
lie.
Crushed those blueberries in the grocery store.
We should talk about this together.
We should talk about this. You want to just hang out, have a drink, and talk about these blueberries?
One of the
blueberries.
best
There's some
parts.
really good blueberries out there.
Grocery store talk.
Go ahead, Lance.
One of the best parts about being part of a team for me is I joined a team because I wanted to get more into the racing scene. I wanted to do some more races, and that's not for everybody. Not everybody does that, but I joined when I got much more into cycling about 3 years ago. I joined a team, and they were a bunch of really great guys, and they all are, but none of them really raced. And so I would show up at these races and would have no teammates or no camaraderie at the races. And that to me was just a little bit of a letdown. But with the Dialed Cycling team, and every race I go to, there's a team tent and 10 other or 50 other
That's
people.
unbelievable.
Yes, that are there. And so
This is a big
you just
team,
have,
it really is.
yes,
Crazy.
Yeah.
you have this family at every race or at every event that you're always with people. It's just that to me just makes the whole aspect of racing and suffering together or training together just so much more enjoyable to be around people that I want to be. So it's that to me is the number one reason why I love being part of a team.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun when you get out there in the race and you've got some teammates to work with too, and you can actually, especially in the road racing scene, it's not so much in the cross or mountain bike scene, but on the road racing scene, when you can work with some teammates and actually start to play the chess match within the actual race itself, because you have, a few different moves that you can make with your teammates, it makes racing that much more enjoyable.
So much
Right.
fun. Yep. Speaking of that, Lance, when you come back, we should do a team ride again up Mount St. Helens. And now that you're so good, we need to actually try and get you to grab a couple of those KOMs, I think. Speaking of team camaraderie and, suffering together as a group unit.
I think I already explained that I still got dropped on every climb.
We're talking about the downhills. One of us will get the
Okay.
uphills. You got the downhills. Okay.
Yeah. So with being on a team too, let me ask you guys a question. Have all of you guys been pushed to try something new, or have you been pushed to go outside of your comfort zone because of being on the team?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Dialed Cycling definitely introduced me to road racing, which is awesome. And then Tireless Velo that I talked about earlier was like, hey, you got to do some cyclocross. And I was like, yes, this is going to be my thing. And it wasn't, but
But he tried it.
but I tried it, and it's just good. These people are awesome. They want you to try something. They're it's like their passion, and you see the passion in the people that are on the team. And so it's contagious. Absolutely. They love it. I'll probably love it. It's, you just kind of get caught up in it. So
yeah. Anybody listen to this podcast, Leonel Sanders has a really good blog podcast that he does through YouTube where he kind of follows his training and he talks about some of his training philosophies. And my favorite bit from him, Leonel Sanders is a triathlete. For anybody who's listened to this before, we've mentioned him before.
is it Lionel Sanders or
Lionel. I'm gonna,
whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing, but he makes this point about how to get better in these sports, not just for racing, not trying to win, but actually just enjoying and getting better in these sports. You've got to constantly make yourself uncomfortable, and it's a lot easier to be uncomfortable when you're on a team, because if you got 3 people around you that you've got to, like Jake said earlier, hold yourself responsible. I mean, if you're on a gravel grinding ride and you're not comfortable on some of those roads, but those 3 guys are riding away from you that are your teammates, well, you got to keep up with them. So, or as I was explaining to Matt earlier, if I'm swimming with Derek and he's kicking my butt, I've got to stay with Derek because there are certain cutoff times that you got to make in swimming. So, but yeah, it's having that personal responsibility of, okay, I may not be comfortable in this situation, but we're human beings, we're social creatures. Okay, I've got 3 other people that I know are going to support me through this. So,
yeah. I mean, collegiate running, it was you will run yourself into the ground if you're hey, my teammate needs me to beat this person, and it's it's super fun to have that competitive aspect and kind of the responsibility of being on a team. Yeah. So
that's kind of the cool part is these are very individual sports, but incredibly team-based in nature too, which is the coolest part of them, I think.
Absolutely.
Especially for some of us who came from, I know Jake came from team sports too over there.
Yep.
Lance, on the other hand, came from the decathlon, which, is there a more individual thing than the decathlon, Lance? Is that about as individual as it gets?
Except triathlon. That's a little more individual than
triathlon is
And I did both of them, so 2 very individualized things. So go figure.
He's his own man.
How about you, Lance? What's something that you were kind of forced to try that pushed you out of your comfort zone a little bit because of being on a team?
I have never been this may sound funny, but I've never been a real fan of centuries or long rides by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And although I've done lots of them by myself, I just don't want to be out there for 5 or 6 hours all, just soloing the whole time. And so once you do a 50 miler or 60 miler with a group and realize, wow, that was a lot easier with 8 or 10 other guys, it became way easier. So I think it pushed me to up my mileage to be able to ride with teammates and friends and groups.
It's amazing how much faster 45 minutes will pass when you're talking to somebody than when you're talking to yourself. So
group rides are like a time vortex for sure.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Right. I never would have tried cyclocross either if it wasn't for the team.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hadn't even, I'd heard about it, but didn't think much about it. And then I had some teammates and some guys I was riding with say, you might like this. And I thought, no, I'm not going to. No, yeah. Oh, yeah, I am going to like that. So
Exactly. Here's another one, too. We've talked about this before in the past in terms of like just teaching and giving back to newbies. But, we're all at some point in time going to be new to racing or going to be new to cycling. Teams are a wealth of knowledge, and they're a wealth of like learning experiences that you're not going to get from just going out and riding by yourself or running by yourself or being in a triathlon by yourself. Like being a part of a team, you can get like instant downloads of so much good quality information most of the time, and that will really lend itself to you, like your career, like of racing and riding and whatever it might be. Moving ahead light speed, you're going to get a lot of good information, and you're going to be out there and you're going to be well informed, and you're going to get better training and everything. So,
yeah. So we're all in agreement. People should join teams, I think. I think Matt lost this argument.
No. Close battle.
Close. It was close, but
yeah. And one other thing too is teams a lot of times will have access to sponsors and partners, which are kind of nice for us to be able to get some deals or be able to support the community that's giving back to us as well. So it's kind of a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else on that topic, fellas?
That's pretty good. Join Dialed.
Or a local team. Any team will do. And if you're ever interested in starting a team as well, I'd be more than happy to let you bend my ear and kind of tell you what we went through and some of the steps that we took and some pitfalls and what not to avoid. Reach out to us.
Jeez, you've done a hell of a job. I mean,
yes.
I know that you don't want to hear this, Jake, but this team is unbelievable. It is amazing. It's just like the type of people that you put together and just the massive group that's there, and they're just good people. It's really impressive.
And just like how open you've been to like allowing the team to kind of grow itself too is really the cool part.
Yeah.
It's been
It's been
open
fun.
to a lot of cool things.
It's been fun. It's been challenging, and it's been rewarding. So I'm really looking forward to the years to come of what's going to, we're coming up on 2 years, and I can't believe that we've got over 100 people on the team. And then we've got a budding little triathlon group team that's growing out of it. And it's just been absolutely nuts. And I get so many people that contact us about wanting to be on the team. So it's really just making sure that we take the proper steps to make sure that we continue to find good people and just keep growing. So it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
That's a perfect segue, guys. We're going to start a new segment, and that segment's going to start right now, and it's called Good Stuff.
I like it. So this is Jake's only good stuff that he's allowed is introducing this segment. So that's what he has to shave it down to is he's only allowed to say good stuff for those.
Yeah.
So if people are new to this podcast, one of the funny things that Lance used to say all the time was glorious, like any time that he was talking about something great or whatever. And one of the funny things that Jake would constantly kind of lean on, his crutch word would be like good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think after listening to their own selves go through the podcast, they've kind of eliminated those words from their vocabulary. But somehow Evan and I keep bringing it back up. I don't know why.
I'm telling you,
more
man.
of the good stuff.
Yeah.
People.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's still good for a drinking game if you want to play.
So I'm going to request to go first because I have to slink out of
Oh,
the
no.
podcast.
Okay.
after
real
this.
quick, we'll let you go first. But what this segment is basically we're going to share some stories or topics that we've run across in the world of cycling, triathlon, running, what have you, that are positive, that are good in nature, that are good stuff. So go ahead, Evan, and you can kick this off.
So this is one that I've mentioned before, but I'd really like to dig into this because it's really an absolutely awesome story. It really is. But I've mentioned, I'm not sure if I've mentioned actually on the podcast yet, but I've brought up this name before, Joe Lawhorn, who is the Race Across America finisher from Ohio. He's from Chillicothe, Ohio. He's very proud that he's from Chillicothe, Ohio, and he's a military veteran, just a real hero, absolutely a real hero, and a guy who in his first attempt at doing Race Across America, there are plenty of people who attempt Race Across America, very few finish in their first attempt. It is not common to finish that race. I want to say, I'm going to get the mileage wrong, but I think you have to average just under 260 miles a day to get through, just to meet the cutoff to get through the race. Now, there are not that many people who actually make it to the end, and he was top 10 this year. He was a top 10 finisher in this. I mean, just absolutely a stud.
That's good stuff.
It is good stuff. And so here's the sappy feel good part of this. He's absolutely, very proud of his, being a veteran. Chillicothe is very, very proud of him. He's kind of the son of Chillicothe in this cycling world. And it's a very small town in Ohio. So not a ton of big international names come from here. So the fact that in one of the biggest races in the world, Joe being top 10 from Chillicothe is really cool. Race Across America goes through Chillicothe. So it actually, I'm reading from an article here. It goes straight through Main Street as one of the timing stations. So he got to see this growing up because, over the last 10 years, I think it's gone through Chillicothe the last 10 years. So as he's gotten into cycling, he's gotten to see the race go through. And obviously, once you're in Ohio in this race, you're a pretty gosh darn long way into Race Across America. We'll just do a quick geography here. Ohio is in between Indiana and West Virginia. So it's not that close to the West Coast. It's I think you're 2,000 miles in the race, 22 or 2,300 maybe by that point. So he's pretty tired by the point that he hits Chillicothe, Ohio. And if you want to go into Joe Lawhorn's Facebook page, he has a video where his daughter comes up when he stops on Main Street and gets interviewed real quick. And it is just it is, you don't have a soul if you don't cry a little bit watching this. It's he just lifts her up. It is this awesome moment. You just see this military veteran, 2,200 miles into riding across America, has slept 2 hours a night the entire time. That was when he talked after the race, he said going through Chillicothe was what got him to the end of the race. So that is, being from Ohio, I love plugging that because that is some good stuff.
Amazing.
From small town Ohio.
And at the same time, everybody said, good stuff.
Good stuff.
That was great.
That's my good stuff. There you go.
All right. So Evan, you got a exit stage left right now?
But we can just pretend that I'm still here. Matt can talk for me because most thing that Matt says is probably what I would say anyway.
Sure.
So yeah, this is me signing out. I will see you all next week.
Evan, thank you very much, bud.
And my one last thing is that I got my last race of the year next weekend.
Good luck.
So yeah, I'll eat lots of pizza afterwards for all of you. I promise. Okay.
Good luck
in Santa Cruz. Yep.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right, Matt. What's your good stuff?
Yeah, well, I looked at the topics and I just, thought to myself, my wife has been doing some good stuff. She actually had started this group, a small group that, anyone can come join. And it's just this group of runners that meet up and they go for a run/walk and they clean up trash.
It's an awesome, awesome thing. And what's it called?
So,
wow.
So no, it's super cool. And and she was like, I don't know, I'm thinking about calling it Trashy Running. And I was like, yes, call it Trashy Running. And so I whipped up a logo and it's they have it printed on their t-shirts and stuff when they go run. And it's super cool. They're going to, I think it's mostly going to be a summer thing. They're going to do right now we're into September and it's they're going to do one more next Wednesday. So if you guys are in this area and you want to like walk, jog, and clean up trash, then you should consider joining her trashy running group, which is hilarious. But they have fun too. They usually like have drinks afterwards.
So if somebody wanted to connect with her, can they do that online? Is there a group on Facebook or something?
She'll always post stuff to Instagram, and her Instagram is instagram.com/Sternermite, which is kind of like a maiden name thing. Or let's see, where else can you find her? If you're following me on Instagram, I'm at Matt_Legrand, Legrand, and I will also like repost whatever she posts. So it's a cool group, and they're super easygoing. And if you are interested in just kind of helping clean the community, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I like that. All right, that is good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I could say this so many times. It's awesome.
It's like cheating for you.
Lance, what's your good stuff, bud?
I've got two stories I want to share. The first is from the race yesterday. 93-mile race. We were at about mile 60, moving through these fairly flat gravel roads, but doing like 24 miles an hour. And there was about 5 of us working together. Yuri Housefold, superstar, and Sarah Max from Bend. So Yuri was in the lead, Sarah was second, and I was in third during this one section. And Sarah just was briefly inattentive, and she touched wheels with Yuri and went down on the gravel road.
Ouch.
No.
Yeah. And so she just went right, it just laid down on the side. She put her elbow out. Her bike goes to the side. I rode right over the top of her. I rode either over her leg and her front wheel, but I rode right over the top of her. And we all just were like, what? Oh, no, what happened? Because we'd been working together for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And there were 5 aid stations on this ride, and we didn't stop at any of them. We blasted through everyone. Now, luckily, there were some volunteers doing bottle hand-ups, so we did get to replenish water, which was kind of nice. But we had not stopped all day. And as soon as that happened, Yuri, who was on the front, just stopped. He's like, nope, we're going to go back and make sure that Sarah's okay.
Nice.
And she like stood up and shook herself off and straightened her handlebars and jumped right back on her bike. And we kept going and rode together for the next 30 miles.
That's tough.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things where she goes down, we're in a race. Do we just bail?
It's a race.
It's a race. Do we just keep going? But the 5 of us all just, I don't even know who the other 2 guys were, but we stopped. We actually stopped, put our feet down, and let her kind of gather herself so that we could ride. And so that was kind of a cool thing where I was like, okay, we need to not take this so seriously. Yes, we are trying to do the best we can, but we want to make sure that people are okay. In a road race, I don't think that would have happened.
Nope. They're like,
It
see
would
ya.
have just been, one more is off the back and we're going.
One less person you have to sprint to beat. Yeah.
But, Yuri and I had been working with Sarah for so long, that we just were like, it's not fair. I want her to be with us,
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And I posted a little thing on Instagram just about the race, and Yuri had commented on my Instagram post. And my Instagram is at Dr. Hepp, DRHEPP. I'm a former dentist, so that's why it's Dr. Hepp. I am also a current doctor of love. There's
a doctor of romance, I think. It's a PhD kind of doctor, but
PhD. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so I had did a little post about the race, and Yuri had commented. He said, "It was great riding with you and Sarah. We were the epitome of teamwork." And I said, "Thanks for a great week, Yuri. You're a class act. It was a victory for me just to be able to hang with you." And then Sarah says, "Congrats and thank you, Dr. Hepp and Yuri, for the amazing ride yesterday." And I said, "Sorry, I ran over you." And she said, "Sorry, I Supermaned in front of you." So she really wasn't hurt that bad. She just lost some skin, and so everything was okay. But it was, I just thought it was a cool moment that here we are, pushing 300 watts for 3 hours or something. And we just sat up and stopped so that she could be with us. So that was cool. So
I like
that's
it, man.
that's my good stuff for that race. The other thing is Rebecca Rush, who is the race director of this race. She wanted it to also be a fundraiser for charities, and she chose a local charity, a national charity, and a worldwide charity that they raised money for, which I thought was really cool. So the Wood River Bicycle Coalition is a local charity to the Ketchum Sun Valley area. And People for Bikes is a national charity that we raise money for. And then we also raise money for the World Bicycle Relief. And so that was just cool that she wanted to not just make this about herself and making money, but as a, gift to, 3 different communities all around cycling and all this stuff. So that was cool to see her really give back as well. So those are my 2 good stuff stories.
Yeah. That's amazing. Those are great stories.
That event all the way around, man, that's a spectacular event. And the pictures that you posted too, I mean, that's the icing on the cake. It's just incredibly beautiful there.
Yes. There's Ketchum Sun Valley is one of those areas that you come to visit and you start looking for a house or a condo or land. You're like, okay, wait, how do I live here?
Yeah.
I want to live here. This is cool. So
you have to buy a team house out there, right?
That's right.
Oh, all right. That's good stuff, Lance. Thank you.
Thank you.
My good stuff is a little article that I came across on Bicycle Magazine. I'm a big sucker for like how cycling can change people's lives, and I read this guy's story. I was like, my God, this is just something that everybody needs to read, and we need to share it. So there's a gentleman who is a Navy vet. His name is Jacob Hendrickson. He basically suffered from PTSD during his time in the Navy, and I'm not quite sure exactly what it was that he came up across, but he ended up gaining literally hundreds of pounds. At 40 years old, he was 450 pounds. His doctor told him that he would not see the age of 45 unless he changed things up. So he basically turned to nutrition, and he slowly started to drop weight, but it wasn't until in 2016 a friend of him, everybody listen to this, be that friend, invited him to go on a bicycle ride. And then basically he'll tell you that from that moment, everything changed. To this day, he now weighs, drumroll please, 170 pounds.
Wow.
What?
So the guy went from 450 pounds in, now he's at 170 pounds. And basically, he when he first got on the bike, he's making remarks of like, I'm going to break the bike, and people are going to laugh at me, or they're going to laugh at the giant fat guy on the bike. And I'm reading this article going, man, that's terrible. But the guy stuck to it. But the reason why he stuck to it is because his friend would not take no for an answer. His friend basically got him out there. He lent him a fat bike that had a very sturdy frame, and it had bigger tires on it that are going to give you some better surface area, and it's just going to roll and it's going to track a little bit easier. And he just started riding the thing. He eventually hit his goal weight of 200 pounds, and he loved it so much that he made it a goal by 2017 to get down to, I think it was the 170 pound mark. So fast forward, he's now been invited to be a part of his local bicycle team, and he is out training all the time. He's out racing his bike, and it basically changed his life and probably saved his life, just because A, he got on a bicycle, and B, because his friend wouldn't take no for an answer. And the way that we can encourage people to go out there and ride their bike and change their life is, it's spectacular. And I really wish that some of these people that are really high strung, uptight, the person that likes to, throw cups of coffee at us out the window or scream expletives or rolling coal. I really wish, I don't want to punch them in the face. I really wish I could just get them to get on the bike and go for a ride with us, and they'll have a new appreciation for life, and they'll have a new appreciation for cyclists, because they're going to fall in love with it. And we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was that person. So, ladies and gentlemen, please encourage your friends to go for a bike ride. And if it's not a bike ride, get them to go for a run. Go to the trashy run. Go join a local running group, or join a local club or a cycling team or whatever. Get involved and just get fit and go out there and have fun. It can change your life. It's good stuff.
Good
That's
stuff.
fantastic.
So, all right. So that wraps up good stuff. Thank you for humoring me on that one. Hopefully we'll bring that one back from time to time because there's a lot of neat things going on out there in the world that we can tie to this podcast and tell you stories about. So let's get into one last thing. Lance, why don't you start us off with one last thing?
I am hoping to push some of this fitness into a decent cross season. So I guess we'll see how that works out. I don't have anything else. So, my other cool, I guess I got one other thing. My wife actually went for another ride all by herself.
Nice.
So
Giddy up. Yes.
Went out there and put in 30 miles all by herself
Whoa.
today. So
Good job, Randy. Where'd she ride?
There's a couple of great trail systems out here in Ketchum, Sun Valley. So she rode from Ketchum all the way to Haley and Bellevue and back. So it's about a 30-mile out and back. So
If you want to learn
for her.
more about Lance's wife, you can listen to our previous podcast where she was a special guest.
Yes.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And she named her ride, "Yes, I'm Married to Lance Romance," or something like that. So.
Creative Strava titles.
Hey, Lance, real quick, you alluded to cross season, and since we have a few extra minutes here, what cross races and series are you looking to do this season?
I'm gonna try to do the rest of the Grand Prix Carl Decker races.
Mm-hmm.
They're mostly on Saturdays. I think there's 5 more races or something like that. Carl Decker is actually a local racer. He's in his 40s. He's actually one of the best friends of Matt Lieto. So go figure.
Yeah.
He's from Bend. So I'm going to do those races. I'm going to do the Portland Trophy Cup series, which is a Tuesday night racing series. And then I'm going to do a few of the Cyclocross Crusade races, which is a big national, well-known cross series here in the Portland area. I'm a little bummed because it's 8 races and 6 of them are on Sunday.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so I'm not exactly sure how many I'll do because I really try to avoid racing and riding on Sunday because I'm a good Mormon boy. And so I'm not sure how many of the Cross Crusade races I'll do, but I'm going to do at least the Saturday ones for sure. So that's what I'm looking at.
Right
yeah.
on. All right. Matt, one last thing.
I guess I don't have too much, but I would say thank you guys for listening. I think, Jake probably doesn't realize this, but I feel like the 3 of us, besides Jake, there's 4 of us, and we're all like super amped up to do the podcast. Like we love coming and doing the podcast. Like it's one of our like highlights of our week. So if you're listening to this, then you are part of the podcast. Like you don't realize it, but like you get our jokes, you get our like silly sense of humor. Like you're definitely part of the podcast. And I've said that before, but I want to let people know that they can hop on the Facebook page and they can, if they want to chime in on something ridiculous that we said, like, I would like to see a little more conversation there. And it's definitely something that we'll try to get all of us kind of just getting in there and just joking around because I do feel like everyone listening is part of the podcast. And Facebook is, it's not my favorite social media tool, but I do think it's a great tool for kind of engaging in discussions and things like that regarding, the podcast. So if you're listening to this and you have, your own like good stuff item, consider like just posting, even if it's like 2 or 3 sentences to Facebook, or our Facebook post is you can search for the Dialed Podcast on Facebook.
Yep.
And I think you'll find us.
Yep.
Hop in. Yeah.
That's a good place. Yep.
Yeah. Good option.
Nice.
Good option for people.
All right. My one last thing. We'll see. Last couple things. We have a new Dialed Cycling Team Facebook page that is that's up and it's out for everybody to see. So basically, what we're running into is we've got our team group on Facebook, and it's a closed group for sake of just keeping everybody's stuff private and whatnot, and protecting, because we've got some juniors on there and whatnot. And we wanted to make sure that they had a safe spot and it wasn't just open for the world. So, basically we would only let people in who are on the team or people that we knew who are very close to the team. It might be like, Lance's wife, Brandy, wants to join and, we'll let her in there. So, we've had to turn away a lot of people over the years, but we've also had a big outcry of people saying, well, we want to know more about what you guys got got going on and we want to follow your endeavors. So we started a Facebook page, and you can now go check that out, just the Dowd Cycling team, and see pictures and race results and cool stuff that we've got going on in the community. So if you want to follow the team, that's a good place to go. Go check it out.
Nice.
So my other one last thing is if you're listening to us, there's a good chance you're listening to us on iTunes or probably Stitcher or Google Play, or the other two. But I think the vast majority of you guys are listening on iTunes, and we absolutely love getting reviews on there. If you guys want to go out there and push all 5 of those stars, that'd be fantastic. If you want to leave a little comment on there about what you think about the show, that'd be fantastic as well. And what blows my mind is there's a service that we've subscribed to, and our show actually trended in the top 50 in the entire United States. And I think I may have talked about this before, but that came through, that email came through. It was like, congratulations, you're in the top 50 out of like thousands and thousands of podcasts in the whole entire country. I'm like, my God, you've got to be kidding me. There's that many people listening. So it just spun my head, and I'm like, that's awesome. And that's just a big thank you to everybody out there who is listening. So,
and if you're new and you haven't subscribed, just stop what you're doing right now and hit the subscribe button, because like you got to do that for sure. Yeah. And come back for more.
Yes. So go on there and say what you think. Good or bad. All right. So in the next podcast to come, we've got Lance's interviews. So come back around next week for those. Those are going to be
they'll be awesome.
Good stuff. Anyhow, we appreciate all of you guys who are listening. Matt, thank you for coming back. As always, it's a blast. Lance, thank you for taking the time to call in and chat with us.
You bet.
And
Love
giving
it.
us your race recap. That was an awesome job, man. Pat you on the back if you were here. So give yourself a little pat on the back. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.